Hello, welcome to Habit of Inquiry number 3, Act Purposely While Collecting Data, done by Julian Buss, Jen Snowbeck, Nika Summer, and John Summer. Teachers often feel the pressure to raise student achievement on high-stakes state tests, often driving the curriculum and causing anxiety and worry for teachers, students, and administrators. Some tests can be used as predictors for others. For instance, students who score above the 75th percentile on national norm tests like the NWEA, Explore, Plan, or ACT tests tend to achieve proficiency on the grade 11 math test. For instance, if you look down below, you can see that if a student in grade 11 scores 258 on the NWEA test in the spring, they are very likely to reach proficiency on the MCA test in the spring. According to DeFore, Eaker, and Manny, test scores will take care of themselves when schools and the people within them are passionately committed to helping each student develop the knowledge, skills, and dispositions essential to his or her success. One way to help students achieve success is through the use of individual student data from common formative assessments. If students are allowed to be users of their data, this gives them the opportunity to feel they are on winning streaks. It helps them get involved in their learning. They can self-monitor. They know what learning targets they've met and what learning targets they still need to strive for. It helps them to build a toolbox, things that will help them gain success. The collaborative groups at JJJN span the continuum when it comes to common formative assessments and providing learning targets for the students. Here's an example of learning targets required for a geometry unit. On the left, you can see there are 7 learning targets required for this unit. Here's a list of resources where students who have not yet mastered a certain learning target can refer to. And on the far right, students will know how many of this type of question will be on the formative assessment and the summative assessment. This allows students to self-monitor. It allows them to know which learning targets they have met and have yet to meet. They also can better prepare for the formative and summative assessments. On the other end of the continuum, at JJJN, we do have some PLC groups who have yet to create a common formative assessment. In addition to learning targets, some collaborative teams at JJJN provide assessment maps for their students. Here's an example of an earth science assessment map. Students know from the beginning of the unit what is expected of them, how much each task is worth, and how they will be assessed. It is also important that students are given a guaranteed and viable curriculum. This can be accomplished through collaborative groups of teachers implementing 8 to 10 power standards, requiring proficiency on key skills, and doing this through the use of a common curriculum and common assessments. At JJJN, all collaborative groups have implemented a common curriculum, some implementing with more variety than others. Also, common formative assessments have been implemented at most levels. There are still some in the initiating stage. Here is an example of a common formative assessment used in a sustaining group. This group implements many common formative assessments per trimester and uses multiple sources for common formative assessments. This is an example of a data collection rubric used in a multi-age classroom. Students take the assessment as a pre-assessment and a post-assessment and are scored on both. This allows students and teachers to monitor individual student growth. Many of our teams at JJJN implement 5 to 8 CFAs per trimester. In some of these groups, the students receive immediate feedback through a digital platform. In other groups, the students do not receive the data personally, but are placed in small, flexible groups by teachers according to their needs and their levels of proficiency. We also have groups who have not yet developed CFAs for their curriculum. The groups that have developed CFAs have done so collaboratively. They implement CFAs on a short-term cycle every 5 to 12 days and they are administered within 1 day of each other. The data is then analyzed by the collaborative team and is used to identify strengths and weaknesses, oftentimes by class, occasionally by individuals. For example, one team in particular will discuss the 2 questions which the lowest number of students demonstrated proficiency on. They then discuss ways to spiral their curriculum to improve the number of students meeting proficiency before the summative assessment. Following the summative assessment, data will be compared again on that particular learning target. The goal is to get all students to proficiency on those learning targets. There are many opportunities for growth at JJJN. One is the need to do more with pre-assessments. Some groups are not incorporating any common formative pre-assessments, while others incorporate several. By implementing more pre-assessments and supplying students with individualized data, the students can be users of data earlier in each unit, thus giving them an opportunity to get on winning streaks. This will also hopefully engage students more in their education. In addition to providing pre-assessments for students, JJJN also needs to incorporate exemplars at many levels. Many teams have gone away from supplying exemplars to students due to the state no longer requiring constructed response questions on the MCAs. However, improved literacy continues to be at the heart of our district goals. In math particularly, these exemplars are a way to incorporate literacy into the curriculum. Students do better when they know what is expected, and they will rise to a higher level if the bar is set high. Exemplars are a way to raise the bar. Finally, teachers need to pay attention to good assessment design. This will be a cornerstone as the groups without CFAs move into the initiating stage of Habit of Inquiry number 3. It will be important for these groups to not only analyze student data, but also analyze what the student data says about their questions. Ideally, these teachers would be able to share students and use flexible grouping according to levels of proficiency and individual needs. However, the schedule does not currently allow for that at the secondary level. This would be another area where there is an opportunity for growth at JJJN.